Good morning. Good morning, everyone. I'm Reverend Carolyn Paterno. I serve our congregation in New London, Connecticut, and I am thrilled to welcome to this live stream so many of our siblings from our sibling congregations in Chelmsford and Groton, Massachusetts. I've been watching the chat and it has made my heart burst open to see all of you greeting each other and for us, for Aaliyah and Ellen and I, to share the joy of our friendship and our long collegial conversations in a very brief way with you this morning. And so welcome to this time of connection when so many are struggling with social isolation and worry. We hope that this service will be received as it is offered as a gift. It has been a joy to work together with the music directors from the Chelmsford and Groton congregations, Steve Zaki and Sean McCann. We're so grateful for your many gifts. And of course, Jesse Edwards, who is keeping us all going through this service technically. Thank you so much, Jesse. And so we begin together and welcoming you with this reading by Kitty O'Meara. And the people stayed home and read books and listened and rested and exercised and made art and played games and learned new ways of being and were still and listened more deeply.
Some meditated, some prayed, some danced. Some met their shadows, and the people began to think differently. And the people healed. And in the absence of people living in ignorant, dangerous, mindless, and heartless ways, the earth began to heal.
And when the danger passed and the people joined together again, they grieved their losses and made new choices and dreamed new images and created new ways to live and heal the earth fully as they had been healed. We gather as three congregations joined into one community this morning, not just because Ellen, Carolyn, and I are dearly beloved colleagues and friends who find strength and comfort and usually hysterical laughter with each other in our regular trips to Ryan's Deli in Vernon, Connecticut for lunch, but because we are all stronger together. We know this. We are part of a larger circle, a wider community, a bigger love. The world has gotten so much smaller in the past few months. And as we say at First Parish Groton every Sunday after lighting our candles of joy and sorrow, what touches one of us touches us all. We are connected. We are woven together with threads of tenderness, compassion, and faith. And so let us worship together this morning. Our opening hymn is Lo, the Earth Awakes Again. The lyrics will appear on your screen. Megan Zaki is the soloist with Steve Zaki accompanying. I hope you will join us in singing wherever you are.
From the winter's forgotten dream,
In the Unitarian Universalist tradition, we begin our services by lighting our chalice, the symbol of our faith. Isabel Stanley Kemmler will light the chalice this morning. The chalice symbol was created by a Czech artist, Hans Deutsch, during the Second World War. He created it for the UU Service Committee, whose members were working at great risk to free Jews and other persecuted people to get them out of Europe. It is good to remember right now that our chalice was created as a symbol of resistance to the powers of fear and destruction, and as a symbol of resilience, courage, and strength. Lisa Day writes, "Why a flaming chalice?" The question comes. It is the cup of life, we answer. So let's say the words for chalice lighting together. A cup of blessings overflowing, a cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst, a cup of wine for celebration and dedication, the flame of truth, the fire of purification, oil for anointing, healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, this symbol was crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us in these days of uncertainty and sorrow, a light to warm our souls and guide us home.
Thanks, Isabel.
Thank you, Isabel.
We know that gratitude is a balance to fear. And even as we are dealing in chaotic, fearful time of unknowing and isolation, there are many things for which we can be grateful. That spring is here today after a snowy day yesterday. And time is moving forward, that we have ways of connecting and are finding them and being creative about it. All the people who are on the front lines keep us safe, to help those who are sick, making sure that we get what we need of food and medications, and just the ways that we are taking care of each other. Through gratitude, we will be able to transcend our fear and find our way home. I light a candle for gratitude.
So let's sing together, Spirit of Life. We will sing it first in Spanish and then in English. The Spanish translation is by Reverend Lilia Cuervo and Aaron Barrios. Spirit of Life is by Carolyn McDade. Fuente de amor, ven hacia mí, y el corazón cántale tu compasión. Sopla el volar, sube en el mar, hasta moldear la justicia de la vida. Arriágame, líbrame, fuente de amor, ven a mí, ven a mí.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. blow in the wind, rise in the sea, move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
Amen. This week marks the 50th anniversary of Earth Day. And in the midst of the pandemic we are experiencing, in the midst of humanity's current and relative stillness, the natural world goes on. As many a Unitarian Universalist knows, Henry David Thoreau is an ancestor who revered nature and so took to the woods to live simply. His story reminds us that to live simply on the earth is to honor the earth. We honor his legacy as we are inspired by him still. Our story today is Henry Builds a Cabin by D.B. Johnson. One spring day, Henry decided to build a cabin. He borrowed an axe and he cut down 12 trees. He cut the logs into square beams.
He notched the bottom beams to fit into corner posts. The corner posts fit into ceiling beams, and the ceiling beams into roof beams. In April, his friend Emerson helped raise the beams. The work made him hungry.
Henry, your cabin looks too small to eat in.
It's bigger than it looks, said Henry. Henry led his friend to a bean patch he had planted behind the cabin. When it's finished, this will be my dining room.
In May, Henry bought an old shed and took it apart. He nailed the boards on the floor, the roof, and the walls of his cabin. Henry was nailing the last board when his friend Alcott arrived.
Henry, your cabin looks too dark to read in.
It's brighter than it looks, said Henry, and he led his friend to a sunny spot beside the cabin. When it's finished, this will be my library.
In June, Henry put a door in front. Then he put 2 used windows in the side walls. He bought old shingles for the roof and walls.
Henry was nailing the last shingle when Miss Lydia peeked in the window. Henry, she said, your cabin looks too small to dance in.
It's bigger than it looks, said Henry. And he led her to the front of the cabin where a path curved down to the pond. When it's finished, this will be the ballroom with a grand stairway.
On the 4th of July, Henry moved into his cabin. He ate beans in his dining room. He read in his library. He danced down the grand stairway to the pond. When it started to rain, Henry ran back to his cabin.
It's bigger than it looks, he said. This is just the room I wear when it's raining. So ends our story. Right about now, those who are fortunate to have a home whether it be a simple cabin in the woods or a sprawling mansion, that home may strike us in the way that Henry's cabin did his friends. Too small to dine in, too dark to read in, too small to dance in, for the day's stillness is crowded with worry for our dearly beloved and all of our siblings in the human family. What touches one of us touches us all, as our siblings say each week in Groton, and as we all know is true. Our minds may feel a bit frayed around the edges as though the walls are closing in, but our minds and our hearts are bigger than we think. Through the outward stretch of connection, we are saved. We are saved by laughter. We are saved by love. Ellen, Aaliyah, and I had planned to meet at Ryan's Deli on March 17th. A flurry of emails passed between us, changing and confirming arrival times, all of these emails concluding with love, until the deli. Needless to say, we never made our way to Ryan's on that day, but since then, we have consistently made our way to each other because we consistently, each of us, needs saving so that we may be, for you, those we serve, worthy of that honor. Here is the saving deli wisdom that has been born at our table over many years.
Aaliyah and Carolyn have saved me more than once as we gathered around our pickles and matzo ball soup and rugala. They have given me strength and courage to trust the call to ministry. And here is the wisdom I have received over the years in no particular order. We are called to love our people, all of you. Ministry is a sacred trust, which deepens and transforms over the years. The longer we serve you, the more precious this trust becomes. It's also a very weird job at times, asking us to deal with issues big and small that seminary in no way ever prepared us for. We ask ourselves all the time, are we serving our congregations well? And it's important that we keep asking. Our hearts will be broken. That's our job. Because we can't fix the things we wish we could, aching hearts and lost souls, failures and pain, terrible illnesses, injustice and evil, grief and loss, death and dying. But we can hold the stories, and we are entrusted with these stories, many that we cannot tell, but which teach us daily of resilience and generosity, fragility and limitation, courage, and the integrity of the human spirit. A sense of humor is crucial. A trustworthy staff is a gift from God, and we each are blessed in that way. Competitive competence amongst people of faith is destructive and to be avoided, as are false fights around things that don't really matter. Thus, a sense of humor is really crucial. So is music and worship. And we are each blessed to have great choirs and professional musicians to lead them. We can trust our people. We can trust you to figure it out, to take care of one another and the congregations we love, and to make our faith real in the world. Lipstick is also essential, and I wear this color.
I should wear this color.
And I gave them those colors.
What is the wisdom of the deli? What have Carolyn, Ellen, and I learned at the deli? What have we learned from the deli? that might help all of us through these strange, anxious, and sometimes lonely days. Well, the most obvious is that food helps pretty much everything. Half sour pickles and matzo ball soup and rice pudding have been good medicine for centuries. And bringing home rye bread and black and white cookies and good bagels for the partners and kids who are not lucky enough to go. But more important even than the food is the soul nourishment of deep and honest and tender connection. The deli is proof for me that we are never alone in the mess and the struggle of being human. We have to do our particular hard things. No one can do them for us, of course, but we can keep each other company through the painful passages like the passage we are in right now. And the company makes it so much easier. For me, being able to tell the truth about what things are really like is essential to feeling less alone. To be able to say things like, I have the attention span of a chicken right now. And I know this to be true because I spend more time than I would like to admit talking to the chickens who live next door and are free range on my little street. The other day, I actually experimented with how far I could walk up or down the street with all of them following me like a chicken whisperer. Even those of us who are lucky enough to be healthy and to be able to stay safely at home right now are having a difficult time. And the wisdom of the deli says it's okay to talk about how we are, to be how we are, because it's also true that we can do hard things, and this too will pass. Another thing that the deli has taught me is the truth of Henry David Thoreau's beautiful, poignant phrase, the only cure for love is to love more. Carolyn, Ellen, and I are all long-term ministers. We have stayed with you, our congregations, for 20 years or close to it, an increasingly rare thing in ministry these days. We talk about this a lot. We talk about what a privilege it is to get to keep you company through decades, to dedicate your children and send them into young adulthood, to officiate at weddings for those we have known as children and loved for years. We talk about the gift it is to be able to accompany you through the passages of your lives, through marriage and raising children, through retirement and growing older, through sickness and healing, through grieving, through death. And we talk about how the longer we stay, the deeper we love you. And the more our hearts hurt when you are struggling or in pain. We talk about how our hearts break when beloved members die, and how we choose this love over and over again, and we ask you to choose it too, to let your hearts break wide open. It's hard to do right now when there is suffering all around us, but the wisdom of the deli is that the only cure for love is to love more. And the final piece of deli wisdom is no surprise, and that is laughter is indeed saving grace. The writer Anne Lamott says that laughter is carbonated holiness. It helps us breathe again. It gives us back to ourselves, and this gives us faith in life and in one another.
This life that we are living now is a trial of endurance. And like all long distance races, the discipline is in learning how to breathe when you are a mere halfway to the finish line. if I may beat this metaphor to the ground, I'll share that I hit the wall on Friday. I took to heart the Deli wisdom that says that food makes everything better, and I set out to bake the new brownie recipe that I baked for the first time, yes, 2 days earlier. I placed the brownies in the oven and turned back to the counter to begin cleaning up, and there it was, the precisely measured brown sugar, precisely sitting on the counter rather than baking in the brownies. When I told Ellen and Aaliyah about this on the phone, this tragedy, we howled together, a deep laughter that came bubbling up from the bottom of our souls. And it was the laughter, not the bitter, bitter brownies that, yes, I did eat. It was the laughter that got me breathing again. And that too is the Deli's wisdom. Misery loves company, and so does joy. So this reflection is a kind of love letter, Ellen's idea, to you, the people we serve, and those of you who are peeking in from away and afar. It is a love letter to the world that so badly needs encouragement, love, and a stubborn, stubborn hope. And so we end here, as we do in the flurry of emails that pass between us. Until the Deli, blessed be, and amen. I invite you into a musical meditation. Steve will gift us with his music. Thank you to Steve. We know that these are nerve-wracking times. Certainly they are nerve-wracking times financially. And so we thank you for all that so many of you are doing to support not only the congregations of which you are a part, but also family members who are struggling, other nonprofits who offer their services to others. And so we enter into this offering aware of that uncertainty and ever more and deeply grateful for all that you do to support these congregations. We will begin and enter into this moment of generosity with these words that we speak at All Souls each week in preparation. We give to the work of our congregations. Our work weaves the fabric of love called community. To this end, we dedicate ourselves and this, our offering. You may donate to each of these congregations through each of the websites that are displayed right now, or old-fashioned checks work too. However is most comfortable for you, we are grateful for all that you have shared and all that you have sacrificed. We give thanks.
One of the things we learned putting this service together are the things that we do that are the same but different. And one of them is how we share joys and sorrows. I will be leading us through joys and sorrows and a prayer today. And I'm going to invite those of you who have access to the chat. I'm going to walk us through three times: thoughts and prayers for ourselves, loved ones, and family; thoughts and prayers for our larger communities and our world; and thoughts and prayers of gratitude. I invite you, if you have access to the chat, to write these in the chat, or to speak them aloud to the people you are gathered with, or just to hold them silently in your heart as we listen to Steve play Spirit of Life. I invite you to start by sharing thoughts of And I'd like to invite us now to join in a spirit of prayer. I invite you to open your hearts to your source of life, your source of being, whether you find that within yourself, in the communities gathered, in the wonder and beauty of the creation that surrounds us, in the embrace of God or Goddess or a divine mystery that you cannot yet name. Gathered as we are, from Massachusetts to Connecticut, to Florida, to California, to Maine, maybe even beyond. Spirit of life and love, we give thanks for this beautiful day and for all that technology and the people who know how to make it work that brings us together. We remember that what touches one of us touches us all. And we are proof of this morning. And again, that the only cure for love is love. We take all the joys and sorrows, spoken and unspoken, written and unwritten, all the gratitudes offered. May we be together more resilient, more hopeful, more courageous, more compassionate. May we remember that this is a moment in time, and that we have each other, even if we are not in our sanctuaries, even if we are not in the same room. We are gathered and our faith is alive and well, and we are connected in ways that we are not even aware. And may we be a blessing to our world and our faith. Amen and blessed be. And now we will join in our closing hymn, Blue Boat Home.
Far away from the rolling ocean,
Let's say the words for extinguishing the chalice together. Our service has ended, but our work is not yet done. May our spirit be renewed and our purpose resolved as we meet the challenges of the week. Our chalice flame is extinguished until once again ignited by the strength of our communion.
Before we send forth, I want to give thanks for Sean's beautiful interpretation of Spirit of Life and the beautiful accompaniment to Blue Boat Home. And we are about to enter into yet another musical gift, again from Sean in the postlude. So until then, let us place our hands over our hearts and reach out to each other as we honor the earth and honor the brilliance of connection. We say now together, go in peace and return again with great joy.
May the beauty we love be the work that we do.
Go in peace, friends. You be a blessing to this world.
Peace be with you all. Love you, my friends.
Love you.